Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Stranger Things video. So I wanted to break down, I guess, the latest teaser here for Volume 2 of Season 5 and get into some of the new details here that we learned about this season, which I do think, honestly, like, Volume 2 is going to be massive. Like, I know that, everyone's excited for Christmas and everything, and I am as well, but, like, I'm looking forward to actually watching this on that day, and I'll have my review out and everything that day, but I'm really excited for that, and then I think the finale, like literally New Year's Eve. Like, I imagine that most of us are going to be spending our New Year's Eve watching Stranger Things, right? So yeah, anyways, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all of my Stranger Things content like this. Now, the latest teaser that we do have here is the character portraits. So first of all, we sort of have some new looks for all the characters here, but these are the character portraits for, I guess, the main cast here, right? Like, we have Mike, Eleven, Will, Dustin, Max, Lucas, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan. And it's really interesting because this show usually just drops all the episodes in like one day, right? And I think season 5 is proving the point that I've always kind of made, which is you always want to have, like, even if it's not like weekly releases, I mean, a release like this where it's like you have 4 episodes on this day, a month later you have like another 3 or just say like another 4 episodes or whatever, and like you build up to a finale, right? Like something like that, because there's a lot of excitement, like week to week, or like having a day where you have to watch this series or this episode. Like, it's been a very long time where appointment viewing has been something that, was really something that everyone did. I think The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, there's been a couple franchises where it's like you have to watch it on like that day, but Stranger Things, I think, at least this season here, like, it's definitely like that, and the excitement building right now for Volume 2 is absolutely crazy. Like, I just cannot wait for anything, and obviously, I will be following a lot of the news for Stranger Things, so if anything drops, I'll do a video on it, like, right away. In terms of a teaser or a trailer or just, like, anything like that, I'll break down anything and talk about sort of what to expect, but yeah, for the character portraits here, I think this looks really great. Honestly, it's amazing that shows will still do character portraits like this, because a lot of shows won't do that anymore. And I think that this really does prove that, character portraits are just something that is kind of cool. I know it's kind of old school in a way, but it's just, it's awesome. I don't know, like, I've always been a fan of them. Now, I do actually want to get into something that the showrunners were talking about for Volume 2, and it's something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, because, well, there's been a lot of focus on Will and what's happened, obviously, with his powers and everything, but I do want to talk about Callie, because obviously, for Eleven's story in Volume 1, it ended with her return, and I mean, I was shocked by that. I really was not expecting that at all. I thought that character's story was just kind of done, and then, yeah, we see her here, and so what they're actually saying here, like the showrunners, they're saying that Eleven's story is going to change a lot, and I think the tone of Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2 is going to change quite a bit, and so he says, it will be a very different dynamic going into the second volume. Callie shifts things a lot for Eleven, and I think it'll be surprising for people to see how she ultimately fits into the story. We're excited about that because it immediately changes the tone, and obviously the way things ended with Hopper leaves a lot of tension between them. So Hopper was really going to sacrifice himself there, right? So I'm wondering, like, how does that, I guess, dynamic between him and Eleven, I guess, change? Or I guess there's going to have to be a conversation about that, right? And I wonder how Eleven will feel about that. And then, again, I guess Callie and Eleven's, story and, like, what that could actually be here for the final season. Because Callie's a really interesting character, because her powers, I mean, for sure she's as powerful as Eleven, but, there's been kind of hints here and there that she could be more powerful. And so, I have a theory that maybe she does actually become a villain here in this series, and maybe joins Vecna, and I could see something there. There's also sort of the idea that when you're looking at when they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, I think with Eddie in season 4, they rolled like a combination of like a 20 basically, and if you're adding up the numbers, like there's 1, which is Henry, or I guess you could say Will, right, because there's some sort of connection between the two. There's 8, so 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 11 as well, right, which is 11. And so that equals 20. Maybe that takes down Vecna and the Mind Flayer, and that's sort of the direction that we're going in here. Like, it's really interesting. I think that as for the tone shift and what the showrunners are talking about here, I'm really hoping that the story does get, I guess, darker, because I think that as inspirational as it was, in episode 4 to see Will have his powers like that. I mean, you got to have a lot of cool scenes, I think, with Will, but you do want to make the story darker. I wonder if there will be any deaths, you know, in that very last episode before we go to the finale, because like that's the penultimate episode. It's going to be like 6 days or whatever that we have to wait to watch the next episode. I wonder if someone dies or there's like this big cliffhanger and then we all have to wait 6 days to watch that very last episode, right? So I'm excited to see where this is going to go. And the one question that I really do have is, why does, you know, Dr. K have Callie in the Upside Down, and why does she have her in that cell? Like, there's just a lot of things there where I do think where the story is going to go next, because they're just sort of in that military base. I mean, 11 is there. She could probably leave right away. It really depends. Like, there's so many places that this next episode could go in. I actually wonder how all the characters are gonna, you know, meet each other after this, because I feel like just based off of where everyone is, you know, they're so close that they could all like just, I guess, meet up in this episode. But I do think that episode 5 will take place pretty much right away. Like, I feel like the first scene is going to be Will, you know, like maybe he passes out because of what happened. That's actually one thing that the showrunners were saying, which is Will's powers, or at least that's what I saw anyways, which is Will's powers aren't necessarily something that he was like born with or like given by Vecna. I mean, I guess in a way, but it really is something that he can sort of tap into his powers. Like, if he's closer to the hive mind and everything, he becomes stronger. And you know what I mean? Like, there's that sort of connection there. So I do think if he's farther away from it, he's not going to really be that powerful. So I think that will play a role here into, you know, his powers and what's going to happen in the story. And I do wonder if there's something there where it's literally a connection of like, if Vecna is gone, Will is gone. Like, I don't know if that's exactly what's going to happen. Are there other characters that have that same connection? Like, it does seem like Will's kind of the only one. He sort of has that very special connection to Vecna, right? And I also think Vecna saying, like, you were the first. That's something that I think all of these little pieces of dialogue, it's all going to fit together like a puzzle, and it's all going to make a lot of sense. I think these characters are so connected. And I really do think, in terms of a death prediction, that Will is most likely gone here. Probably not in these next 3 episodes, but I do think in the finale. Like, if there's one character that I do think is going to be gone, it's for sure Will. But I think there's going to be other characters that it'll probably be very heartbreaking to see, and it'll be shocking. Like, you know, a character that I see constantly rumored to, you know, be gone is Steve. That would be something pretty heartbreaking. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here, though. Definitely post all your thoughts down below on what you think is going to happen in Volume 2. I think that if you're looking at really like these 3 parts overall, I think this was really like the build up to something. I think there's going to be a lot of action and crazy stuff. I think there could be a lot of deaths. And just, I think the story is going to get a lot darker here in Volume 2. And then the finale is going to end everything. And I think will be pretty emotional. I do think, based off of a lot of the early reviews, or not early reviews, but just, you know, what the cast and some of the writers and producers and everything have been saying about it all, I do think that this last episode is going to be pretty heartbreaking, but I think also amazing, really emotional. And I think once it's over, we're going to be like, I really want more. Like, I want more Stranger Things episodes. And I think maybe that's where we get, you know, an announcement of an actual spinoff or more details on another spinoff, right? But anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.